1st of March, Rabbi Levitt, Pele Yoetz.
Pele Yoetz. They're going to say Pele Yoetz. This sounds like the Gemara in Bava Metzia. Okay. So here we have that Reb Nachman is saying that Rav Huna told him that there's an Issa Ribbis to lend ribbis to a non-Jew also, just like for a Jew. And then there was a vikuach between Rava and Rav Nachman. How do you understand the pasuk in Devorim? It says Lanachri Sashich, and Rava said that don't you think it means tishoch, that you should charge ribbis to the non-Jew? And he says no, it means tashich, just like it says. Tashich means you pay ribbis to him. Doesn't say anything about charging him ribbis. It says you pay ribbis to him. So the Gemara asked about that, and that's where Tosfos comes in over here. So Tosfos says tashich lo sagid de lo hachi. We're going to just get a running start over here with Tosfos. Aval I tishoch. Instead of saying tashich is not sufficient to say that. To say that that's what it's referring to. But it says Tosfos aval I tishoch. If you say that it's really referring to tishoch, that you should charge ribbis to a non-Jew, nicha, then that would be good. Why? The lo sagi, the lo tishoch. That it would not be sufficient, it wouldn't be good if you would not charge ribbis to the non-Jew. Why? Because it's forbidden to lend to him without charging for nothing. It's forbidden to lend him for nothing. B'chinam. Kedamar kro, like it says in the pasuk in Devorim, lo sechanem. Don't give them a freebie. And if you give a loan,
it's very loud.
If you give a loan to a non-Jew and you don't charge him ribbis, that's called giving him a freebie. And the pasuk says, according to Tosfos, that we're not allowed to do that, to give a freebie to a non-Jew. But now we're going to go weiter. And additionally, Sha'amah hakosov lehalvos lehem beribis. Okay, and furthermore, says Tosfos. Va'od she'amar kasav, that the pasuk says, meaning the pasuk that we are quoting here in the Gemara, the pasuk that says lo sashich. That pasuk Tosfos says is mandating lahavos lehem beribis, dafka there is a command to lend them dafka beribis.
I don't get that. I see that there's two interpretations, one from Rava, one from Rav Nachman, but neither of them says lend with interest.
True. Tosfos is not explaining what Rav Nachman holds. Tosfos is explaining the side of Rava. Tosfos explaining the side of Rava. Rava does not agree with Rav Nachman. Rava holds that that the pasuk of Lenachri Sashich means to say that you either you allowed to or you're required to lend him with rivers.
So that's 23:21.
Right. In other words, Rava, the whole machlokes between Rava and Rav Nachman is who is that pasuk 23:21? Who is it talking to? Is it talking to the borrower or is it talking to the lender? According to Rava, it's talking to the lender. L'nakri sashich, you should lend him with rivers. According to Rav Nachman, the pasuk is talking to the borrower. You should pay rivers to the non-Jew. The whole source of the machlokes between them is: do you understand that the word in the pasuk means like it's written, tashich, which means to give ribis to him when you receive a loan from him, or does it mean tishoch, that you should charge ribis when you give him a loan? That's the whole machlokes over here between Rava and Rav Nachman.
So in other words, the Tosfos is reading it, Lenachri Sashich means for a non-Jew, you may charge interest. Is that correct?
Well, again, we have to remember one thing. It's not that we have the opinion of Rava and we have the opinion of Rav Nachman, and then we have the opinion of Tosfos. Right? That's not the correct way to learn the Gemara. Right? The way to learn the Gemara is Tosfos is explaining the Gemara.
Rabbi, you're echoing.
Echoing? Okay. And we got to go into the thing over here. Better?
Yes.
Yes.
The
Okay.
reason I said it the way I said it, Rabbi, is because Tosfos introduces a new lashon. He says, "Lehalevos lehem beribis." We don't see that anywhere so far. So he's saying, I'm trying to clarify that what he's saying is that phrase, to lend to them with interest, he's attributing that to Rava.
Right.
Saying that the way Rava is reading this pasuk is that when it says Lenachri Sashich, it means that from a non-Jew, take interest.
Right. To charge him interest. Right. Tishoch means to charge him interest.
Right.
And so therefore Tosfos is using the word lahalvos, which means to give a loan. Lahalvos lehem, to loan to them with ribis. So Tosfos is explaining Shitas Rava.
So it seems to me that there's two different interpretations going on here. One is whether it's the word sashich, it should be read tishoch, and the other is that the phrase lenachri sashich, you can stick the word must, that you must take interest, as opposed to that you may take interest. Is that correct? The way Tosfos is interpreting Rava? that it says that you must take interest?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So that's where he's getting it from. He's getting it from this pasuk. So this pasuk is key to the whole thing.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. It could be that because of the. It could be that Tosfos is saying you have to say that you have to give him a loan only with ribbis because of the pasuk of below sechanim. It's not simply mutter to charge ribbis to him, but if you are required to charge ribbis to him because otherwise you'd be giving him a freebie, and that would therefore be a violation of the pasuk of lo sechanim.
Right. So in other words, what we're saying now is that Zion Bet tells us that it's forbidden to not charge interest, and 23:21 is telling us that it's a mitzvah to charge interest.
Yeah, okay. You have to charge interest to him because otherwise you'd be violating the pasuk of lo sechanim.
Right. It's not a mitzvah to lend him money. It's just that if you lend him money, then it's a mitzvah to charge interest.
Right. That's exactly right. Right. There's no mitzvah to lend money to him. The mitzvah is that if you do choose to lend money to him, it has to be with interest.
Okay, so
to avoid the prohibition of lo sechanim.
So getting back to the Pele Yoetz, when he says it's a mitzvah to lend to a non-Jew with interest, I'm thinking that we have to interpret that is in the way we just said it. Not that it's a mitzvah to lend, but only it's a mitzvah that if you lend, then you charge interest.
Right. Right. I think so.
So I'm just looking to see if that makes sense in terms of the context.
Yeah.
See, it doesn't really fit the context, in my opinion. On page 245 in the Pele Yoetz,
yeah,
where it says, even though by lending money with interest to a non-Jew, a person also fulfills the mitzvah of taking interest from a non-Jew, and he has a profit from its fruits, the mitzvah of lending money to a Jew is greater. So if we're comparing the mitzvah of lending money to a Jew, that's actually a mitzvah. To make the loan is a mitzvah.
Right. Right.
But we're saying to make the loan to a non-Jew is not a mitzvah. It's only if you make the loan that you take interest.
Right. I think that could fit into the Pele Yoetz.
Yeah. Okay. I guess I can see that. I can see that that maybe that's what it means.
So even though you'll make a profit by lending to a non-Jew, there is still a mitzvah to lend to a Jew that is more compelling.
Well, it says, and he has a profit. So there's two
Right,
parts to it. There's one
right,
is the
even-
mitzvah of taking interest itself,
And he's going to get a profit. It's still better to
and
lend
he
to a
has a
Jew.
profit. Right.
It's still better to lend to a Jew, where you won't make a profit.
Right. Right. Okay. Okay, you interested in going weiter in this Tosfos, or are we,
I would like to, yeah, I'd like to finish the Tosfos.
okay,
Oh, it's very long. Well, I'll leave it
Yeah.
up to you, but I'm enjoying it.
okay. That's the main thing. La'olam yilmod adam Torah masha libo chafetz. Okay.
Baba Basra, Ayin Ahmed Bayes, that we're talking about?
Yes. It's
Baba
the
Metzia,
last
Oh,
Tosfos.
but Metzia. No wonder
Oh,
I
Metzia.
couldn't. No
we're
wonder
in
I
Baba
couldn't
Metzia.
find
This
it.
is a famous parak over here, Ezu Neshech,
Yeah.
to be
No
one of the
wonder I
most
couldn't find it.
difficult prakim in all of Shas.
No
about,
wonder I couldn't
ribbons.
find it.
Sorry, I
Most
think
of
you
it-
said Bava Metzia.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so that's the neshech. And the neshech is the word to bite. Linshoch, that's what the kelev does. Ezu neshech. That's the way the Torah describes ribbis. It's a bite.
Okay.
Okay.
It's odd to me that it describes it that way, because that's a pejorative connotation.
And ribbis is pejorative. You're not supposed to do it.
I would say absolutely the opposite. Ribbis is a good thing. It
No.
increases the
If ribbis-
economy. If you didn't have people
Lou,
lending
Lou,
money,
if ribbis-
you wouldn't have commerce.
If
The whole
ribbis
thing
was a good
about
thing, it wouldn't-
the stock market in the United States is
if ribbis was a good thing, it wouldn't be
Capital.
forbidden. If ribbis was a good thing, it wouldn't be forbidden.
I
But the problem is,
disagree. I disagree.
the Torah forbids it because it's not a good thing. It
I
causes a
disagree.
burden on people. You know,
It only causes a burden in certain very, very restricted circumstances. When you have
no,
a
you go to a
person who
loan
is very
shark and you
poor.
pay 20% interest, that's a burden.
If a person is not poor, if a person is in business and he wants to borrow money in order to,
But those aren't the people who
business,
need it.
that's
The
not,
Torah is
that's
worried
not
about
a
people who
burden.
don't
That's
have
a
money.
good thing.
The Torah is worried about people who don't have money and need the money to survive. And if you charge them interest, you will make it much harder for them to survive. That's why the Torah says don't charge interest. This is your
That's what I'm
Re'ehu. This
saying.
is
It's
your-
only in that narrow case.
That's not a narrow case. It's a very big case.
No,
Why do we think we have free loan societies?
it's a very
Why-
small percentage of the amount of the loans that are going on in the world.
The Torah was written before commerce went to the level it is. Why do you think we have free loan societies everywhere? Because people are in trouble and need money. You don't want them paying ribbons on top of what their needs are. They can barely survive as it is.
Oh, I have a question. Do Goyim have free loan societies?
No, not to the
No
extent
such
that we-
thing.
Not to the extent that we do.
But they do have. There's such a thing. A goy could go somewhere and get a free loan.
The only ones I've ever heard of have always been Jewish ones.
Yeah,
I've never heard of a Goyish one.
yeah. So the goyim, they never heard of such a thing. It's,
The whole purpose of the Torah telling you to lend without interest is to not burden your brother with having to pay ribbis when he's in trouble. He's in trouble. That's why he's coming to you for a loan. You shouldn't be taking advantage
it's a
of him
form
by
of
charging-
in other words, it's a form of a chesed. The loan is a
Absolutely.
form of a chesed. But Lou is Lou is saying that there's mostly what you see in the world is that loans are business.
But that's
The
not,
lender
that's
does
not,
business with his money by charging you ribis, and the borrower does business with the money that he receives by doing business, and he makes a profit of more than the interest is that he got the money for, and then he's making a profit, and everybody's happy. That's the way it is. That's the way it goes. That's the
but
way
that
of the
wasn't
world.
that wasn't the model the Torah was envisioning.
Yeah.
The
So
Torah-
in other words, the Torah is saying, we could say very simply, the Torah is saying, just like you give a guy a handout, you say, here, take $100, right? Take $100. You don't have to pay me back. It's a handout. That's tzedakah. I'm doing tzedakah with my money. Says the Torah, it's also tzedakah. It's a form of tzedakah to give a guy a loan and not charge him ribis. That's a form of tzedakah. Because even if you're going to say you do have to pay me back, right? Everybody understands that you've done a great mitzvah with that $1,000, because you allowed this person. He needs $1,000 right now, and now he's got his money. He can now pay his bills, and now Bez Hashem next month he's gonna hopefully hopefully he'll have a better month, and he'll be able to pay his bills and also pay you back your $1,000 too. Hopefully. And otherwise, so then whatever. That's the way it goes. But we understand that like that, we're not doing business with the money. We're making a mitzvah of gemilas chasadim. We're making a mitzvah of tzedakah with the money. We understand that very well.
when a person borrows money and pays it back, he does not look at it as a handout. He
Yeah.
looks at, you gave it to me and I'm giving it back to you. I'm returning it to you.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
where it's opposed to when he's getting a handout, it gives a sense of self-esteem to the person to be able to
Yeah.
pay back the loan. And
Right,
that's an
right.
important consideration.
Right.
Somebody who
of
just
course.
takes a handout does not have that same self-esteem.
Right. Absolutely. So in that sense, it's really a higher form of tzedakah, because you're giving in a way that doesn't make the recipient feel bad, which he should really never feel bad. And as a matter of fact, that's the idea that in the Rambam in his halachas, he lists the forms
Levels
of
of-
tzedakah. You can give tzedakah like this, you can give tzedakah like that, and like that. And the highest form, is I think he says over there to get the guy to the point that he can earn money on his own. But before you can do that, if you are going to give him a handout, so you know what the way to give a person a handout is? Give it in a way that he doesn't know
Who gave it
that
to
it
him?
came from you. This is why all the communities here, they have each shkuna, each community, they have their own community
Chasadim fund. Yeah.
Yeah, so people from the community, not from the community, they donate money to this fund, and they get a Kabbalat Mas if they want. Generally, they're able to do that, and they get a tax receipt from the government, and so they're happy. And then this fund distributes the money to the people in the community that they have determined are in need of those funds, and then the people that receive the funds from the Chesed organization, it's done in a way they're not having to take the money from their neighbor. It could even be the money that their neighbor gave is being given to them, but they don't know that.
It gives them, the idea is to be concerned about in some sense, the pride of, the self-respect that the person you're giving to. You want to maintain the self-respect of the
Yeah.
person receiving the help.
Right. That's part of the mitzvah, to do the mitzvah in a way that doesn't give him chalisha sadas and make him feel, that's I said a few weeks ago. Actually, there was a guy that called the Life of Bitukin hotline, and he says he doesn't understand. He asked the rabbi, "What's the Emunah Bitukin perspective about this?" So what happened? He says, "I drove over to a person that I know, who is, he learns night and day. He doesn't have a penny to his name. And I drove over and I pulled down my window over there, and I handed him a large sum of money. And what did the person do? He said, thank you. And the person that gave it, he felt really bad. He said, wow, this guy, I gave him such a large amount of money. Maybe he doesn't realize how much money I gave him. Maybe when he goes home and goes into his house and he counts the money, so then he's going to give me a call and say, oh, thank you. Oh, I can't thank you enough. Oh, thank you. And he was looking for thank you. And the guy didn't call him back. And he calls the hotline and he says, what's going on? I don't understand. And the rabbi explained to him. He says, people don't like to receive a handout like that. You got to understand the
psychology.
The situation over here. This guy, he doesn't, he doesn't like to take a handout from people like that. So that's the situation. But the donor had no idea. He wasn't thinking at all. He's probably never been in such a situation like that. He doesn't know. So he's asking, like, what did I do wrong? Well, how come the guy didn't shower me with thanks? So it's exactly as you say. Okay, very good. Now we'll go weiter with the Tosfos, Be'ezus Hashem. Oh, now Tosfos has a question over here. Im Tomar, if you will ask the following question. Umay porich mihai kro. Hello asur ela bidrabonin. Yizera sheva yilmod mimasa. Gidabini b'samach. That's Tosfos. Really, if we're going to look later on in the Gemara, just a few lines further, I believe, on Daf Ayin Aleph, Amid Aleph, Gemara is going to make reference to the fact that it's not really a Torah prohibition not really a Torah prohibition. It's only a gezerah midrabanan. What's the gezerah midrabanan? Shema yilmod mimasa. Maybe the Jew will learn from he'll become in contact with the non-Jew, and he'll be doing, I guess, business with him, charging him, he supplies the money, the goy gives him the ribbis, and everybody's happy. The Jew's happy. He made a shtickle parnasa. The goy is happy. He's got money to do business with now. He doesn't mind to pay interest. He knows that if he would go to the bank or any other goy in the world for that matter, they also would charge him ribbis. What's the big deal that he's paying ribbis to the Jew? He should be angry about that. That's the way of the world. You pay him. If you want money, you pay ribbis, right? That's what it is. Unless the guy wants to do a mitzvah and tzedakah, but the Jew is not allowed to do that. So he's going to be charging ribbis to the goy. But later on in the Gemara says this is an isur d'rabbanan. This is an isur d'rabbanan to make this loan to the Jew. For the Jew to make this loan to the goy. Why is that? Because presumably, we'd have to see the Gemara later on, but presumably the point is that the Jew will be becoming more involved with the goy, because they'll be doing business, so to speak. One loan will lead to another loan, which will lead to another loan, and they'll have a business relationship. And the Torah does not want, the Rabbanan did not want that. The Rabbanan did not want
that. A
that.
loan with interest or without interest?
With interest, right? With interest. So in other words, Tosfos is pointing out that to lend to a non-Jew with ribbis is an isur d'rabbanan. Why? Because the Rabbanan didn't want the Jew to learn from the ways of the non-Jew.
What does this word parich mean?
To ask a question. Im tomar umay parich mihai kra. What is the question being asked from this pasuk? It's not an issue of the pasuk in any case. It also seems to be saying in any case it's lo asur ela midrabanan. It's clear that it's only an isur d'rabbanan because the Rabbanan were the ones that said, don't lend interest to a non-Jew. Don't lend to a non-Jew with interest. Why did they have to do that if it's an isur d'oraisa in any case, based upon the pasuk?
So which pasuk is he referring to when he says my parich mehai kra? Is that the pasuk that says tashich, or is it the one that says hanun?
Yeah, that's a good question. Which pasuk is he referring to over here? Toma umay porich mihai kra. What's the question? What's the question that's coming from this pasuk? I mean, Tosfos hasn't mentioned any pasuk except for this pasuk of lenachri sashich.
Oh no, he mentioned lo sichnam.
Okay, that's true, but oh, you want to say that if that pasuk would make for an isur Torah to lend to a non-Jew.
But
No,
that
pasuk is that pasuk is not inconsistent with the Gezerah d'Rabbanan.
right. So it must be the sashich that he's talking about, right?
Yeah.
So he's saying what What are we asking about the Lanachri Sashik Pasuk? What are we asking about it?
In Tomo, my porich, Bihai Kra. What's the difficulty that's arising from that pasuk of Lo Sashich, which seems to be implying, according to Rav Nachman, it applies according to Rav Nachman, and it seems to be implying according to Rav Nachman that according to Rav Nachman, we don't see any indication from that pasuk that it would be permissible or even a mitzvah to make sure to charge ribis from a non-Jew. That's not what the pasuk is, and therefore he wants to say, l'chora, he wants to say that he wants to defend his position that in fact it is forbidden to charge interest to a non-Jew. He says it's forbidden to charge interest to a non-Jew.
So that's what's confusing me, because according to my English, Rav Nachman says about Lenachri Sashich, the verse means you shall pay interest to a Gentile.
Right.
Which is not dealing with the question of can you charge interest? It's a completely different point.
Well, the thing is like this: if Rav Nachman, in other words, Rav Nachman has to disagree with Rava, because Rava says that what the pasuk means is Lenachri Sashik means tishok, to less charge interest to him.
Right, that you can charge interest.
Yeah.
So it's actually with Rava's interpretation that Tosfos is questioning. So is Tosfos saying that according to Rava, the pasuk says that you can charge interest, but according to the rabbis, you can't, and that's the question?
I don't know. I mean, the truth of the matter is if we think about it for a second, let's just think about it for a second. Is the fact that there is an Isser Rabbanan. The Rabbanan didn't want a Jew to charge interest to a Goy for the reasons stated. Does that mean what does that mean? Does that mean anything about what the Deraisa law is? The law of the Torah? Does that prove what the law of the Torah says? The only thing it would seem to prove is that it must be that there's not if the Rabbanan felt a need to make an Isser Rabbanan to charge interest to a non-Jew, that must prove that there's not a Torah prohibition to charge interest to a non-Jew. Because if there would be a Torah prohibition to charge interest to a non-Jew, the Rabbanan wouldn't come along and say, yeah, and we also say it's Asur Rabbanan to do the very same thing. What have you accomplished over there? The Torah already, it's enough, isn't it enough that the Torah says that it's Asur?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So the fact that the Rabbanan have put down an Isser Rabbanan charging interest to a non-Jew to give him a loan, basically, and even if it's charging interest, so it doesn't involve a violation of Los Chanim, But nevertheless, they didn't want Jews to lend to non-Jews for ribbis, because they would get shelo yilmud mimaseihem. So if so it would seem to prove, if the existence of such an Issur D'Rabbanan would seem to prove that there is no Torah violation involved in lending interest to a non-Jew.
Right. So the Torah simply says it's permissible. And then the rabbis came along and said, no, it's not permissible.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see what Tosaf says over here. V'yesh loymar, dehachi porich, mehai kro. This is the question that is being made based upon this pasuk of L'Nachri Sashich. Haven de Amar Rachmono L'Nachri Sashich. Since the Torah said that, Lo haya lehem lechachamim le'asor.
Right.
What are the chachamim coming along and uprooting what the Torah said?
Right. That's what I was wondering.
V'hod dorish le mikra Shlomo, and this that we darshaned from the pasuk of Shlomo.
What does that mean of Shlomo?
Shlomo Melech. We darshaned from a pasuk of Shlomo Melech.
What's a pasuk of Shlomo Melech? What does that mean?
That's the pasuk in Mishlei.
Oh, Mishlei. Oh.
That's how we started off our discussion over here. We had a pasuk, Marbe Hono Beneshech, Tarbis. He who amasses wealth through charging ribbis. L'chonein dalim yikbetzenu. Ultimately, at the end of the day, what will be with all of this fortune that he amassed through charging ribbis in violation of the Torah? It'll be gathered for dalim. It'll be gathered for the dalim, for the poor ones. He won't. The one who got it, the one who charged it and made all of this illegal money, he won't see the benefits. He won't see the benefits of his forbidden labor. It will go to the dalim. More asked, who are they exactly? Who are they? So we had two opinions over here. Rav said it's Kagon Shavor Malka, the Persian king who's going to end up taking this money away from this guy who charged ribbis, and then he's going to distribute to his fellow Persians. But Rav Nachman, he's the one that we're interested over here. Rav Nachman said that the Rav Huna told him, "Lo nistracha ela dafilu ribis da'obit kochavim." Now Rav Nachman says that Rav Huna told him that this pasuk that is talking about charging ribbis illegally, is not only talking about charging ribbis illegally to fellow Jews, but it's talking about charging ribbis illegally to Goyim. So, in other words, here we have the view of Rav Huna that Rav Nachman seems to that he is quoting, and presumably the reason that he's quoting it is because he agrees to it, and that opinion is that it's a violation of the Torah to lend to a goy with ribbis. So that's what Tosfos is referring to over here. The Dorish Leim Mikra de Shlomo. This that we darshan from a pasuk in Mishlei, that it is in fact also a forbidden activity that he was involved in charging ribbis to non-Jews. That's what would come out according to the view of Rav Huna. Afogav delo asur ela mishum gezera efsher de Shlomo gozar. In other words, the pasuk seems to be, on the face of it, the pasuk would be seeming to say that it's a Torah violation that Shlomo Melech is talking about. Says Tosfos, we have to say that according to the what we're saying, we would have to say that it's not a Torah violation, but it's what Shlomo himself instituted that decree. So it wasn't from the Torah; it was from Shlomo Melech, and he wrote about it in Mishlei.
Can Shlomo HaMelech make a gezerah? I thought it was you had to be the Anshe Knesset HaGedolah to do that.
Shlomo Melech can make a gezerah, sure. He made the gezerah, I believe, of Netilas Yadayim.
Yep.
What's that? What's that?
Netilas Yadayim, to wash before
Eating.
eating bread, which is not truma. That's what we do today.
So
We wash before eating bread, which is not truma.
So Shlomo Melech instituted that practice?
Yep.
Okay.
I
Yep.
think that's what the Gemara says.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Gemara says,
Even though what we're saying over here is based upon the Gemara that we're going to see on the next page, if we see it, that it's only a Gezerah D'Rabbanan. It's not an Issa Torah. According to the Torah, it would be totally permissible and perhaps even a mitzvah. But therefore, we could say that what this pasuk in Shlomo Melech is referring to is the gezerah that Shlomo himself made.
So he
Not
made
to lend
a gezerah
to,
that shouldn't lend on interest to a non-Jew. Is that what he's saying?
Right. In other words, he doesn't mean to say, if you understand the gezerah properly, we don't mean to say, and you could make the loan to the non-Jew for a freebie. That we don't mean to say. We mean to say that even if you're going to charge him interest, you're not allowed to do it, because we don't want you having so much business dealings with him altogether.
So I'm confused now. We said it was a D'Rabbanan that we shouldn't lend with interest to a non-Jew because we don't want to be fraternizing with them.
Right.
And now it's going on and saying it's a gezerah of Shlomo because the money is ill-gotten gains.
No, Shlomo is just saying that that whoever does this in violation of my gezerah, Hashem is going to back me up. He's not gonna profit by this.
So in other words, Shlomo's Gezerah is the same one that we're referring to when we said the rabbis said, don't fraternize.
Exactly.
Ah. Oh, it's 11:33.
Okay.
Have a
Very
good day.
Yashikoya.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Have a great day, Eliezer. We'll be back.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave this right here so it doesn't blank out.